252.
Hey, welcome to another episode of 252. Frank G here along with...
I'm your man AM.
Johnny Blaze.
Cool Water Kurt.
Ralphie D.
All right, today we're going to be talking about our favorite TV shows that only got one season, or maybe got two very short seasons. You know, the stuff that people have forgotten didn't make it to syndication. You know, the lost TV shows. And I'm going to actually kick it off this time because I'm already sitting here. And my favorite one season TV show was Street Hawk. Now I was going to go with Automan, which somebody else might throw out there. You know, because Automan, you know, it's very similar in taste. But Street Hawk was basically Knight Rider.
Yeah, I'm saying that's the one with the motorcycle, right?
You know,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like that very 1985 high tech thing where he had just like a little HUD on his helmet that showed the miles per hour and stuff that would look silly today. Actually, it did. I watched some. Like, wow, this is really cheesy, but that was the appeal at age 10.
Definitely,
right?
definitely.
He had the guy from Murphy Brown as his scientist in the lab working on machine guns and telling him which way to go and stuff. And come on, it was Rex Smith from Solid Gold, and then later on went on to be Daredevil in the shitty Hulk and Daredevil.
Oh, that's right. He was the first Black Mask Daredevil.
Yes.
Was that the Trial of the Hulk?
The Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
The Trial of the Incredible
Trial
Hulk.
of the Incredible
Yeah.
Hulk.
Wow, he was the Street Hawk.
Yeah, it's that lost connection. So yeah, maybe in some worlds, Street Hawk is part of the Marvel universe, running around with.
What year did you say that was? You said 84?
85.
85.
85.
Oh, man.
And
very impressionable age.
How many episodes or seasons did it get?
That was just the one?
One season that was 84, 85, and it got like 13 episodes.
Man. Yeah.
And they were supposed to start it earlier, and they waited for some other show that was being popular. So they started at mid-season or whatever, and it was too late because nobody.
Does anyone know the answer to this? Why is it that sometimes a season is 13 episodes and then sometimes it's 26?
Well, they've got mid-season replacements in place in case the show bombs. They just interrupt the season and put in a mid-season replacement.
And that is the reason why.
I believe Barney Miller was a mid-season replacement.
Also, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a mid-season replacement, and that's why, if you don't mind, I like to jump into mine, because Buffy was a mid-season replacement, so it only had like 12, 13 episodes. Then it went on to run for 7 years.
Yeah.
Now, Fox had an opportunity and paid a dickload of money to have Joss Whedon come and develop a show for them, and what my show was a very short-lived show called Firefly, which
Never heard of it.
Joss Whedon had, I believe it was 13 or 14 episodes, and the executive of Fox, I'm gonna just start off right. They didn't understand the show, the premise, how it was. Even when they did it, when they aired it, they didn't even air the pilot. They wanted to, they was like, oh, we need something with some more action, so they kind of aired the show out of sequence, which was kind of confusing for some of the fans, because when they later released the DVD, they put it in actual chronological order, and it made so much more sense. But the Fox execs at that time was, in my opinion, definitely messing with a masterpiece, because they had such a loyal fan following and they weren't able to get the show back on the air, but enough fan response got it to where they had the original cast to come together, and they made a Firefly movie called Serenity, which they tried to tie in a lot of loose ends and stuff like that.
Right.
But you had a great cast with Nathan Fillion, Alan Tudyk, Larry Fishburne's wife. What's her name? I can't think of her name.
Mrs. Fishburne.
Yeah, she has I can't remember her name. Oh, Gina Torres.
Yeah, there you go.
You also had Jewel Satire, I believe her name is. The other chick, she's on Gotham. She plays the doctor on Gotham.
Yeah.
She's with Jim Gordon.
What's the other guy, the big guy?
Adam Baldwin. The sexy Baldwin brother.
Yeah. Isn't Deadpool's girlfriend in the show?
Yes, that's
He's not actually a
her
Baldwin.
name is Marina Marina
Baccarat.
Yes, that's her name. Yes,
Yeah, the
you had a really good cat. Oh, and Ron Glass. Don't
Oh,
let me
the
forget.
late Ron Glass.
The late great Ron Glass was a
Barney Miller.
Second Barney Miller reference.
second Barney Miller reference. And, of course, Joss Whedon always likes to use his people in other things. So when he did the pilot for ABC's Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Ron Glass was also in the pilot.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, the Whedon universe, he likes to use a lot of the same people and stuff and use them around. And this was a space cowboy. So, and I know it's kind of hard for people to get on board with westerns and space movies. And then when you make a space cowboy movie with its own mythology and backstory, and they had their bad guys and then they had their uber bad guys. They had a lot going on. But following it, just in those 13, 14 episodes, I believe it also sprung a comic book and another couple of other formats where you can go along with the story.
That's how you know you have
Oh, they
something.
have board games.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm not going to say made, but I highly suggested that JB watch because he had never heard of Firefly.
No, I heard of it. I had never seen it. Not a single episode.
And I was like, look, here's my DVD set. Please enjoy it.
Nice.
And I was,
Did they ever even air the
No.
all 13? Didn't they just like air
Correct.
maybe 8
Correct.
episodes and
Yeah.
quit? That's funny though. You should just say that. I just yesterday saw this meme that was the J. Jonah Jameson face, and then the Peter Parker face, and then the laughing J. Jonah Jameson face. The one, but it said. Hey, have you finally finished watching those Firefly DVDs I lent you? He says, yeah, I'm ready for season 2.
No,
and then it's got
no,
J. Jonah. So it's like, it's the same thing. I'm ready for the next bit. No,
That's
you
it.
get
That's it.
nothing because
And
Fox
it
was
actually-
being complete assholes at
you
the
are
time.
absolutely correct because if I can remember correctly, this also happened, I want to say around the time of the writer strike. So it's putting you in the early 2000s when this came out, maybe 2003 or 4 or something
yeah.
like that. And there was nothing else. Actually, Fox Day had a couple of shows that Fox gave an early axe to. There was another show called John Doe with Dominic Purcell.
Oh yeah,
And it was
he
a-
loses memory or something.
Yeah, he kind of
Oh,
loses
yeah.
memory, but he has a whole bunch of and there was a couple of shows like that Fox had.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, but not surprisingly, Fox decided at that time, instead of taking these really good scripted shows that cost way too much money, they started putting out your Joe Millionaire and
I love
American
that show.
Idol and
Yeah.
Temptation Island.
I love that show.
And they started putting it.
Like cheap
Yeah.
ass TV.
Yeah.
Bill Filan.
Milf Island.
I
What
watched that.
was it? Mother, bitch killer. Was that? What was it? Bitch hunter.
Bitch Hunter.
Naked and Afraid. I mean,
Yeah, terrible. Yeah, it's crazy what they have all these millions of dollars to develop a show. They put out something. It's actually a good product. They get a good response, but then for some reason they're just like, we're not feeling it.
yeah. And that definitely has to go with when you have middle management messing with creative. You know,
Right.
you guys had lightning in a bottle.
Well, and another thing too they had there. Yeah. They also had at that point the people that were starting to not watch via televisions. The downloads, the streams, the alternate sources that people were using to watch some of these, niche shows that it wasn't enough to get the ratings looking like anybody was watching, but there were still
Yeah,
millions of
dollars to
people watching.
donuts. If Firefly would have come out on Netflix now, we'd
Yeah.
probably be in the third
I
season.
mean, at that time, if I can remember correctly, at that time, it was Whedon was developing this show, and he would have had 3 shows on like 3 different networks. And then the next year, he had 0
Nothing.
shows on no network because they can't. Well, they knew Buffy was ending. Then they went ahead and canceled Firefly, and then respectively canceled Angel when Angel was at the highest ratings of their run in their 5th year.
Did he do Dollhouse?
He did do. Oh, that was the other one, Dollhouse again.
Yeah.
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 That
Yeah,
might
it
have
was.
been
No,
one
I think
season.
Dollhouse was 2 seasons. Dollhouse was 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Fox at that time they had another. I was just watching it. It was actually 2 seasons of Breaking In, which was created and written by Adam F. Goldberg. All the same kind of Goldberg's humor, with Brad from Grounded for Life, with Christian Slater, with the chick who plays Rain on Supergirl. There's all these people who are now well known and stuff. And the show was funny and it was good, but they canceled it.
I think I remember that show.
Meanwhile, then somebody else brought it back. It was good, but they not enough people watched. So the next season he did the Goldbergs. Now he's famous.
It's so funny.
Now they'd bring that show back now if it was awesome.
You say that, and there was
So it's all about
another
timing.
show that I had because I had Firefly, but there was another show that I had that I believe was only one season, and at the time when they did it, they were all unknowns. And then almost the entire cast ended up being famous. And that was Freaks and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks, yeah.
But I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I mean, JB, if you got your next show.
Yes, I have a show and I got an honorable mention. My show is Wedding Band. Ran 10 episodes. It was hilarious. I saw every episode. Was very disappointed when they canceled it. The humor was very edgy, almost to the point of adult humor.
Fox show.
I think it's on USA or something like that.
It was something like that. I think
TBS?
it was USA, yeah, something like that.
I think I saw a couple of episodes, and I remember
Yeah, me
Brian
too.
Austin Green was in it, and I want to say Harold
Harold Perrineau. Yeah, he was the drummer, I think.
Yeah.
But it was a great show, and I want to give an honorable mention to The Flash. Only ran one season, I think, 13 episodes.
The 1990s.
The 1990 Flash.
And I know
Kids.
you hate this, JB, but that 1990, 1990
The
Flash?
Flash, 90 to 91 it ran.
90 to 91.
I did my research.
The actor, John Wesley Shipp, reprised that character just this season on The Flash.
Yeah.
He came back because they were like, "Who are you, Jay Garrick? No, who's Dad?" He was like, "No, I'm Barry
I got a picture of
Allen."
him.
He was the Flash, and he was in that suit. He wore that,
yeah.
And I thought that was.
See, I like that kind of multiverse stuff. They could also whip that out on Supergirl and have Helen Slater show
Well,
up.
the
in
thing is,
Supergirl.
Helen Slater's already her mom.
Yeah, but still.
Right, but she could reveal that she's Supergirl.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, but still, I'm actually Supergirl on Earth too.
Wait for Captain Marvel movie to see a similar reveal, right?
Which I'm looking forward to.
That's the one thing that I do like about DC in that vein is that they realize somebody somewhere in an office says, "Hey, we really own all of these characters. We can throw them on any one of our shows."
It's serious.
And on TV, at least in the movies, they act like they don't exist. But on TV, I like that they have. Look, we have John Wesley Shipp under contract. He did play the Flash. He's Barry Allen's dad
He
on
ain't
the
doing
Flash.
shit.
He ain't doing shit. Let's slap him in. And he does it. And he's still.
They could throw Dean Cain in a Superman outfit too. They got all
I'm
kinds of
saying,
people
Dean
around.
Cain.
That's
They
one
got
thing. Hey, big ups to DC on TV. Only.
Keeping it lineage going.
Somehow her parents were Superman and Supergirl.
I know. And it's almost like, and again, in that same episode that they had the Flash, there was one part where they go to, because the Arrow and the Flash have to go to Supergirl because nobody knows who they are, or they're all confused or mixed up or something like that. And when they go to Kara's world to go visit her, they open with "Somebody Save Me," the theme song from Smallville.
Oh.
And they show Superman and Lois Lane, and you just, because
You got all the goosebumps.
Yeah, because I was with, Smallville, they ran a little longer than they show. There was 10 seasons of, and you never got Superman. I'm like, how long is it?
They just reused their set, the Smallville set. They had Archie and Jughead wander down to the farm
that's cool.
on Riverdale, and they played a chunk of the theme song too. It's like, okay, a little bit of
That's
an
crazy.
That's dope.
Somebody say.
All right. Aaron,
Okay.
who you with?
I was actually gonna go with some earlier movies from the '80s, but kind of already said Automan. I thought it was called Auto Drive actually, but I'm gonna stick with something newer. We were talking about it earlier, and I'm gonna go with Defenders because they're gonna stop it. We only got one season of it, and I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I liked it overall. I thought it was one of their better shows, probably like number 3. But I just kind of like how they tied all the characters because I really wasn't fond of the Iron Fist seasons, either one.
Popular opinion.
But-
Popular opinion.
But I did like the character in the show. I like the way he he mixed with Power Man Luke Cage real good. And I would have liked to see them do a second season just off top. I knew I was doomed from the start because, like we were saying, it's a limited series, so I pretty much knew it was going to be a one and done. But I would have loved to see. Do at least a season 2 to see where it was going to, go. Like I said, it just shows so much potential to me. I mean, if you were going to cancel anything, I would say it would have to be Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Iron Fist and just Iron Fist. Really. And that's just because Iron Fist is actually one of my favorite characters.
I know.
It's unfortunate. Well, a couple of things I want to say. One, it's unfortunate that I think where they really messed up was in the casting for Iron Fist. And I'm not even talking about whitewashing because I think Danny Rand was a white guy in the comic book, so he should have been white on the show. So I didn't fall for that whole, you had an opportunity to do an Asian American. Yes, you did have an opportunity, but
it wouldn't have been true to
it wouldn't have been true to the source material. Yeah. But notwithstanding, Finn Jones sucked as Iron Fist. He was just a whiny dude, and it was just like, I would say, I know. And that was the other thing. When I'm watching the Defenders, you're the immortal Iron Fist. Why is Daredevil over here kicking ass, tired, and he's just whooping ass, and you're like, and you're so stiff. I'm like, come on, you got to do better. At least get a better stunt double because Finn Jones sucks.
Yeah, he's supposed to be way more fluent in martial arts.
The other day I came up with like perfect casting for Power Man and Iron Fist set in the 70s, and I can't remember who it was. Do you remember who it was? I sent it to you. Yeah, that would be right.
Was one of them Michael Jai White? No.
I thought you talking about in the 70s. I just said Clarence Williams III and the
guy who played
Starsky. Come on, what's his name?
David Soul.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. But only in the
70s. Yeah, no, Frank recasted it
or at least
now
set in the 70s.
For the 70s, but with actors now.
Now, funny thing is, and I know I'm all over the place now, but Quentin Tarantino was first approached with doing Luke Cage. But because Luke Cage, surprisingly enough, or probably not surprisingly, is Quentin Tarantino's favorite comic book character. But he wanted to do it in the 70s, obviously, it's Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, yeah.
So he wanted to do it in the 70s with and it probably would have been extremely blaxploitationist.
Of course.
Offended hella people.
I actually think that my Luke Cage was Samuel L. I just can't remember who the hell he appeared on.
I think it would have been
it was
very
not Travolta.
70s, but it would have stayed closer to the source material than what Luke Cage did. And the one thing that I did want to say was there was in season 2 of Luke Cage, there was an episode where Danny Rand was in it and they were doing their thing, and it did give you the goose pimples because you were like, this is the next show. This is, all right, Iron Fist is done. Luke Cage could take a back seat to his season 3 and they can do a Marvel team up, Heroes for Hire.
Well, I thought they did that because of the Defenders. I thought they kind of had a little play.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not in any boardroom, but there's a possibility creative had that idea. That's why they did that. And then mommy and daddy couldn't get it together, and we're left with this in the divorce.
But I will say this real quick. I think for all his faults and flaws, it would have been a real easy fix if they just did a simple costume change and gave Iron Fist that mask.
The mask.
That would have gave him go over so much more, man, than just his curly little afro, looking like a little. I mean, he's not. He had no muscularity to him.
Everybody else in the cast was better than Finn Jones.
Yeah,
like the girl that they got to play Colleen Wynn. I mean, even she. What was that other dude? The other dude, Davos or whatever. The way he fought, the little dude.
Yeah,
he was better. In season 1, there was this drunken guy. Because they were on the streets of somewhere, and there was a guy who was doing Drunken Master style, and he was better. I'm like, everybody's better than Finn Jones.
Well, no one likes to admit it, but the two things that contribute most to the success of a superhero is the costume and the villain.
Yeah.
and his mask is
His
iconic.
mask is iconic, man.
And when they took that off,
I would have rather seen the RZA.
I thought the show was okay,
The
not
man
great,
fire.
not good, but okay. But I really missed the mask.
Yeah.
I think that would have went over so much better. I mean, at least at some point, I mean, if you wanted to do some of the episodes with him playing face, okay, I get that, Danny Rand. But it was called Iron Fist.
Yeah.
And hell, we didn't even see too much of the Iron Fist.
Oh, nobody would tune
Yeah,
into
you know what I
Danny
mean? We
Rand.
didn't get to see too much of the Iron Fist.
And how many times in the show do you have to say, "I'm Danny Rand"? I was like, are you trying to convince us or yourself?
Well, it's like the Kid Rock syndrome. You have to say your name at least 13 times out each segment. So they don't forget. Hey, all right, my Power Man was not Samuel L. It was Terry Crews, but I still can't remember what it was.
He's been on this literally the entire time. It was like when JB was like, "Wait, no, Die Hard is a Christmas movie." Or not Die Hard, but what was it?
Lethal Weapon is my favorite Christmas movie.
Okay.
Well, rounding out the discussion, I'm going to go way back to 1996 with a show called Prophet. This show lasted 8 episodes, and it was ridiculous. I mean,
I remember this show.
yeah, it was irreverent. It was satirical, but it had a seriousness about it that made you really think. Adrian Pasdar played a wealthy businessman in some city. It may have been New York.
I think it was Toronto, but
Well, yeah, I'm sure it was Toronto.
Vancouver.
It was that's right. It was really clean.
it was very
weird.
clean.
Yeah.
But he lived in a cardboard box. Didn't
He lived.
or he had
he slept in a cardboard
He
box.
lived in a penthouse,
Yeah.
but he slept in
He
a
slept in
cardboard
a
box
cardboard
with a
box.
little hole in it so he could see the TV.
because of his childhood.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was weird. I mean, it had all different kind of ideas. I
Like a
mean,
pickle jar.
I tell you what, if you want to see something with the early days of CGI, they had remember that security system they had? It looked like
It was-
an early version of Minecraft or something.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was.
awful, but
And that was high
Great
tech
show,
in '94 when it came out. And if I can remember correctly, he was it was like corporate espionage, corporate raiders.
Yeah.
They did
Definitely.
acquisitions and something.
There was a lot of paperwork.
And wasn't there
and
like a
computer
lady in it
this.
that was, I don't know if she was a detective or maybe she worked for the company. and
Lisa Dar. I
yeah, there
believe.
was somebody that was trying to expose him
Expose
because
him every
he
show.
wasn't exactly who he said he was. Like he
Yeah.
used a fake name and it was John Prophet. It was like,
Yeah.
wait, your name is John
John
Prophet
Prophet.
and you all about making profit. Something ain't right about it.
So
that's
good.
me.
A lot of stuff was on the nose.
It was definitely very anti-heroish because he was the bad guy.
Yeah, he was
right?
the bad guy,
He was
but
the bad guy.
but you were rooting for him still.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he was a good-looking dude, and you wanted to be him. Slick back hair, looked like.
He ended up marrying
Michael
a Dixie
Douglas in
chick,
Wall
didn't he?
Street. Adrian Pasdar, or the character.
Adrian Pastor, not John Prophet. No. John Prophet married Natalie Maines.
Yeah, I don't know. It's possible. The show was hilarious, though. It was good stuff. Yeah, 1 season, 8 episodes.
You could do an entire, a whole episode of just like one season.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just about to
but
say
there you
because
go.
that came out on
Fox
Fox
shows.
too,
Yeah.
and they canceled it.
I know, and just what I was getting.
They were willing, at first, they used to be willing to throw anything out there. I mean, the first few years of Fox when it was brand new.
Yeah.
You know, remember they had a show about like a comedy show about the guy who was a slave in Lincoln's White
Yes.
House. I'm like, what the hell are we even, you know?
They also had
Yeah.
a show, I think, about
Like, this is not a good pitch, you know?
Chris Elliott. Remember who was
Grounded
that?
for Life.
No,
No,
Get Alive. Get
Is
Alive.
that
Get
one
Alive,
with the
yeah.
Paperboy?
Yes, that show was hilarious.
It was
That's the
ridiculous.
one, yeah.
That
But
ran
I
for a
thought-
few
I thought it
years.
was
That
on
was
one
on
season.
I want
probably
to say
3 or
they were
4.
also
It was
grounded. They also had Grounded for Life, and
Which was a great show.
didn't Family Guy run on Fox? And they canceled Family Guy 3 times.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and they brought it
Yeah.
back.
Did not know that.
Yeah. They canceled Grounded for Life and like
Yeah.
WB brought it
Yeah,
back or
something like
something,
that.
right? So yeah. And they were missing one of the kids at the end. And they were just like, fuck
Yeah, with it.
Yeah, we could do
it. Just don't
an
bring him
entire
out.
show on bad Fox
Decisions.
decisions.
Yeah.
It's like you guys had nothing but gems.
characters that got Chuck.
Literally chucked.
Because there was also that show John Doe. I think it also played
I like that show.
After Profit, and there was another show
That
called
was a John Hurt show, right?
The Kindred.
The Kindred, yes.
Which was a vampire. It was like these vampire families,
Oh no, that's Dear Joe.
and they were in some town, maybe New York, and the vampires, and they had like the Nosferatu and the Venturi and or whoever else was on there.
Yeah, different clans.
Each different vampire of literature had its own clan.
Really?
The Bruja and and they were like the street thug vampires.
You said Nosferatu.
Yeah, the Nosferatu were they were more
They
like
looked like
they kind of looked like Nosferatu,
Yeah.
but it was a whole clan of them, and each family had a Nosferatu person in their thing because that was their advisors of their thing. It was a whole thing.
yeah.
The elder.
That was during the supernatural phase that they were doing all that super. Every show had to have a supernatural thing. I remember. They had
And I want to
Reaper
see Thomas
that got
Howell was
2
also in
seasons.
that.
Reaper, that's right.
But Reaper, it was
Wasn't that?
the guy, one of the bad guys from RoboCop, who was from Twin Peaks, and Brad from Grounded for Life. Every time Brad from Grounded for Life gets a show, I like it, and it gets canceled within 2 seasons. He's like the modern day Ted McGinley. Like,
You know who else
shit,
gets shows?
another Brad
You
show.
brought him up earlier, Christian Slater. He's always trying to break into TV. He's had like 3 shows.
What was that one show that he did?
But
was
now
a
he's
CIA
got
operative.
Worst Enemy.
Yeah, I like that.
That was good.
Had a young Taylor Lautner was in that
Yeah.
show.
How about what is it? Andy Richter Saves the Universe.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That was a funny show. It didn't run long. Honorable mention.
I mean, we can keep going with these one and done shows that were really good and didn't really either they didn't get the fan recognition or they didn't get the critical acclaim or they just didn't get the numbers. Sometimes you're a victim of a bad time slot. Fox was notorious for taking really good shows and throwing them on Friday nights.
It must be hard, man. It must be
Oh,
hard,
yeah, Friday night's always the killer.
especially when you're in got
That's
a lot of
what
competition.
I was talking about.
It must be hard.
Say that again?
It must be hard,
For
finding
sure.
out a way to divert all that stuff and put it in the right slot.
I bet it's harder
Especially
now
when you
than it
got a lot
was
of-
then, too.
Trying to
Well,
program
we were talking
the
about-
slots. Well, it
I
isn't.
say,
It isn't
yeah.
because now they can just throw it out there and
Yeah.
people DVR it. And
I
type
think
shit
now,
they
what we
want.
were saying before, a lot of these shows would live on Netflix and Hulu and Amazon because you could just throw 13 eps on and people will watch it at their leisure.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, hey, that was a really good show. You can either mash it all out in a weekend or you can wait.
I like to
Watch
whittle.
one
I like to
episode a week.
whittle away
Well,
on my shows.
MASH was almost a one and done because
Jesus
they
Christ,
were.
MASH lasted longer than the actual Korean War.
I know. MASH, the first season, they were competing with Wonderful World of Disney. Nobody watched the first season. And I've heard the story.
Yeah.
They said that the president of the company, his wife watched the show, and she asked him, give it another season, put it in another time slot, and he did.
That's almost likened to the Seinfeld Chronicles, which almost got tanked after one
Nobody
season
watched.
because nobody watched it. And then, of course, they chopped off the Chronicles, just renamed
But
it
there was
Seinfeld.
there was some executive that was like, "No, this is a good
This is
show.
good.
We got to
We gotta stick with it."
Yeah. So sometimes there's a voice of reason.
But then that goes back to what Frank was saying, that certain times you're like hurting for content and it's like, okay, we're just going to throw this and we're just going to keep running it. And then they start getting a little too big for their britches and then they start canceling stuff. Because like even Netflix, they started canceling shows. They canceled like 50%. Or not 50%. I literally just made that number up. But they started canceling a bunch of
well,
their
97% of
their
most
stats are made up 50% of the time. But because Netflix had to be like an actual network, and it's like, okay, we need to start canceling some of this stuff because they had Lilyhammer on for no reason. Like, is anybody even watching Lilyhammer? You know?
What the Olympics?
Nah, the Steven Van Sant show. Little Stevie from the E Street Band. He had a mafia style.
I know it.
He had a mafia style too. It was actually, it was almost, I believe it was the first original series produced by Netflix.
Yeah,
on
so
Netflix.
me doing that is me saying there's too.
Well, that's what they were saying. There's too much content, so they started just cutting shows.
Well, that's because there's no current Friday night death slot. You know, when everything is streaming and your own thing, they don't have any place to put shows to die. You know, it's like I always talk about Max Headroom. You know, nobody understood that show in 1986 or whatever. Now it would be like, wow, this all happened. You know, in the 30 years that have passed. You know, the dystopia thing. But back then it was like, let's put this on Friday or Saturday and switch it back and forth so no one knows when it's on. And we're aiming at kids.
And all we did was like it because it was the guys who sold the phone. It's like, hey, it's a whole show about him.
Exactly. You know, you watch it now and it's like, wow, that was really good stuff that went completely over our heads.
Another good show that only had, actually I believe it had 2 seasons, was Dark Angel. Season 1, great. Season 2, not so great.
Well, you know, everyone says, oh, the biggest mistake in television was canceling Star Trek, the original show. If you watch the 3rd season, you will know why it was canceled. It was bad. It was really bad. It's like one after another. I'm like, how did this show even run the full 3rd season?
You're watching scenes and the boom mic falls into the shot.
It's like that final season of Batman where like they went to one and done episodes instead of the 2-parters, and like all of those episodes are lame compared to all the ones before. You know, they threw up all these new villains that didn't exist before, and like this just kind of sucks. False face and shame and all these Liberace's 88 keys. Like, get the fuck out of here with this. I want to see Batman fight Liberace. Come on,
let's
and don't forget the classic team up Green Hornet and Kato appeared. So Burt Ward was fighting against Bruce Lee. And you want to talk about bad choreography and having no skills. Danny Rand was Chuck Norris compared to Burt Ward.
What is the wrestling term? Bruce Lee had to work, had to really work to make Burt Ward look good.
Yeah.
Like Shawn Michaels used to have to go against all these aging wrestlers.
He had
that's what it is. He had a job. I knew that there was a term.
Well, but that's why it's TV, right? I mean, Burt Ward in real life.
Well, no shit.
Get his ass kicked by Bruce Lee, even though Bruce Lee is now a zombie.
Well, I gotta say that depends on how fast Burt Ward can run. Because if he runs from the man like he should, he won't get touched.
I don't know. Zombie Bruce Lee versus old Burt Ward. I think I'd still give it to Zombie Bruce Lee.
I'm putting my money on the Lee. Oh man, that's good stuff. Any more cracks at the bat? Anyone?
I just want to say one thing in closing. With all of our shows, I know that if we would have went cartoons, I mean, we would have been here forever. You know, 1-season cartoons.
Well, that's the show right there.
Because I know, I get off the top of my, I can't even say mine.
Don't say it. Save it.
Like I said, it's funny because we've all said something, and I know me personally, I've watched at least an episode 2, maybe the entire run of every show that we talked about. Mm-hmm. And that because a lot of those shows, guys like us, we were just hungry for that kind of content. So if they put it out there, we went towards it.
If it's good, yeah.
And like we've already said before, in this world, in this paradigm, you can live in internet streaming services, YouTube, whatever. Even with all of that, I would like to take an over-under on a couple of the 2 new DC shows that they have going out on their streaming service. Titans and Doom Patrol. How many seasons do you guys think they're going to get?
I just refuse to subscribe to another service.
No, JB,
I heard, but
with you on that.
I hear what you're saying. I heard that they're both very good.
They're good shows. I mean, it's the way it was. Inevitable. I mean, I don't know why. I'm all I do now, literally, me personally, all I watch is YouTube. I mean, the way that Netflix, their platform of just releasing all the stuff out and allowing people to binge watch at their own leisure, like you were saying earlier, that's the way of the world now. I mean, and it's not going to go backwards. We're not going to go back to programming and waiting, week after week,
But some streaming services are doing, like, I want to say Amazon, Hulu, they do even though it's a streaming service, they put out
Depends
one
on
episode a
what the
week
creators want you
and
to
you
do.
watch it.
But see, that's why I said Netflix. Netflix follows a different model. Their blueprint is just slightly different.
Yeah, they're just, here it is.
Here it is, and have at.
There it is.
Really, I mean, it's just that simple.
The only hard part about that
It's
is
dope.
when you are watching it at your leisure, you have to watch yourself on social media, because if it's a real popular show, people will spoil some things for you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I'm done with that. I spoil it for myself. I'll be like, damn, I can't wait. I don't care. I'm going to see it anyway. I'll forget.
That's the nice thing too with those services. If you don't want to subscribe to another service, you can wait till there's 2 or 3 seasons of 2 or 3 shows. Subscribe for 1 month, maybe on a $4 trial or something. Watch all of it and then cancel.
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
That's what I did with. Well,
Hey.
I might have subscribed and then canceled immediately so I could see the first episode of Titans. But then I was like, man, I really want to watch the rest of that.
I subscribed for 1 month for YouTube, just so I could watch the Cobra Kai, and I'm going to do it again for season 2.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with living ghetto fabulous.
That's how we do.
Hey, I'll do it too. My homie said he was going to let me his, he was like, hey, man, I'm giving you all my password because I want you to see the DC streaming stuff.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, shoot, hey, give it to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyone got a password for DC? Just put it in the comments below.
Iron Man sucks. Okay, does anybody else have anything else going out?
Nah, I got nothing.
All right, then, for Frank G, my man AM, JB, and RED, I am Cool Water Kurt saying the more things change, the more things stay the same.
Ain't a damn thing changed.
What a thing with the gangbang fools, one of them on the lip and the empty out. Oh.
Donis, pull yourself together.